Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. This news will break your heart. When TT are running out, you will know. When an insurgent group runs out of adult fighters, the mask comes off entirely. Recently, news on RTV aired footage that should disturb anyone paying attention to the asymmetric warfare in West Africa. State security forces pushing deep into the Soro region executed a sweep that liberated 3 young boys from an active militant camp. One of these boys was 10-year-old. His name is Abdul Wahid. Now, if you watch standard media reporting on this, they will tell you it's a sad story about child exploitation. But if you want to understand what is actually happening on the ground, you have to look at the cold, tactical reality behind how a 10-year-old boy ends up holding a weapon in the bush. Abdul didn't join because of ideology. He wasn't radicalized on the internet and he wasn't promised money. He was brought into the camp by his own father, a senior fighter operating under the name Abdul Amata. Think about the psychological leverage at play here. When a military tries to secure a region, they track phone signals, intercept supply lines and monitor movement. But how do you stop a father who uses his own authority to hand his 10-year-old boy directly to a warlord? You can't. The group bypasses the entire community recruitment phase because the parent becomes the trafficker. From there, the pipeline moves fast. They took Abdul across the border for 7 days, 1 week. That wasn't a military education. It was rapid conditioning. They taught him how to handle a rifle, assigned him to a commander named Baloba, and posted him on the perimeter as a human radar system. Why? Because in close-quarter bush warfare, a child sitting on a perimeter line doesn't draw immediate air or artillery strikes. They use children as lookout to buy their adult commanders 10 extra seconds to react when armed forces run in.
The Burkinabe army has just struck very, very hard again. Yes, the Burkinabe army has saved young people from the ranks of the terrorists. And among these young people, there is one whose father forced him, led him to become a terrorist. Today, he was saved by the Burkinabe army, and he thanks the Burkinabe army. He thanks His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and he thanks all the Burkinabe people. Follow the video carefully and share as much as possible. His dad tricked him and took him, forced him, led him to become a terror. But the Burkinabe army was able to save this young man. And today, he is testifying to thank the Burkinabe army. Follow carefully and share as much as possible.
On the ground, the fighting forces also achieved a major result in Suru. 3 minors forcibly recruited by the terrorists were freed in the region. Among them, Abdul Wahid, 10 years old, forced by his own father. His testimony recounts his recruitment and the role he played within the terrorist groups. Welcome, Tansa.
The terrorists, cornered and suffering heavy losses, are now reduced to recruiting children like him. Wahid, he is practically still a baby, yet a former fighter of a terrorist group in the Gassan area at the time commanded by a certain Balobo.
It was my own father, Diakite Sule, and also known as Abu Amnata, who brought me into this group. In fact, my father had already been a fighter in this group for 2 years. One day he came back home, and when leaving again, he took me with him without telling me where we were going. Once there, I realized it was a terrorist base, and I cried to be taken back home.
Abu Amnata, his father, sticks to his position and takes the little one to a neighboring country for training.
Over there, my training lasted 1 week. It was physical training and handling of weapons and ER walkie-talkie stations. After this training, I was taken back to Burkina, where I played the role of a tour guide.
And it is within the framework of an offensive against terrorist groups in the Soro region that the brave fighting forces managed to free this minor among many others. Wahid is freed from hell, detached from wickedness.
When the defense and security forces took me, I denied my affiliation with the terrorist group because I believed they would kill me if I told the truth. However, sometime later, they found out I was a terrorist, but they didn't do anything to me. They told me they are not there to harm people like the terrorist leaders say, but rather to save lives. I am very happy because they take good care of me here. I no longer want to be taken back to my village. I will stay here to go to school like the other children, or if not, learn a trade.
A testimony proving the inhuman treatment suffered by little Abdul Wahid when he was among the terrorist ranks. Through the recruitment of children, the terrorists clearly show a disregard for human life. But this situation is a sign that the enemy, who regularly suffers heavy losses, has significantly weakened.
This isn't a show of strength, it shows absolute desperation. When state operations hit an insurgent network hard enough, the casualty rate among experienced adult spikes. Replacing a trained 25-year-old fighter takes time, money, and power that these groups simply do not have anymore. So they run inward. They cannibalize their own families to keep their perimeter defense alive. And the most sinister part of this entire system isn't the physical training, it's the psychological cage they build around these kids. Militant commanders tell these children one specific lie every single day. If the army catches you, they will execute you instantly. They plant that fear so deeply that when armed forces finally overran the camp and secure Abdul, the boy immediately lied. He denied knowing anyone in the camp. He denied being a lookout. He was 10-year-old, standing in front of heavy armed soldiers, convinced he was seconds away from death because of the propaganda he had been fed. It's a heartbreaking story. But one thing I don't understand, you see that when it comes to these ones, Human Rights Watch, with all these things that are all in all, have been rescuing case and they give out their confessions, we don't see the Human Rights Watch writing anything about these things. They are always quiet. The only time they can see, like Captain Ibrahim Traore is saying, is when there's somebody in a military uniform, either a Burkinabe, a Nigerian, or a Malian uniform, which Captain Ibrahim Traore said, these people sometimes wear the attires of these military of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso and do whatever they want to do. So at the end of the day, when something happens, they then brand it on the military leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Looking at all these things that are happening, we are not hearing them condemning these things. But they were quick in condemning Captain Ibrahim Traore when he decided to train the children in Burkina Faso so these kids will grow up with military skills to defend themselves, because we are seeing other countries also training their children like that. But the moment Captain Ibrahim Traore decided to do something of that sort in Burkina Faso, they were quick in saying that he was arming children. He was arming children. You see how they turn the narrative. Anything that is to benefit the African, they have a way of writing their script whenever it doesn't benefit them. Or whenever it benefits them, they are mute about it. I thought by now with all these things, because it's not the first time we are hearing them rescuing kids, yet Human Rights Watch is nowhere to be found. How can a father decide to send his own son into this? The last one that we heard, it was the father who was dealing with them that decided to send his son to go and do this. So the child is recruited at the early stage So if this child should grow up into his adulthood with these people, there's nothing that you ever do that will make him have the love for his country. He will make sure he goes to any length because they are programmed from childhood, just like they program us. And even today, when they are even telling us what is the truth, the African still finds reasons to believe what we were told. It is not going to be easy. But thanks to our all in us, and we hope that all the minors that are under their care will be rescued. It's not easy. And with this one, it's very easy to be brainwashed. You can program them the way you want, so they will act based on your instructions. And it's the African who is still allowing himself. I don't know when we'll finally emancipate ourselves and know that what the leaders are doing in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso is not for themselves, but for them, their generations, and these children that they think that they are the best people to be used against their own countries. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.